What the
What's going on, guys? It's Chet, and I've been missing a lot of days recently, but honestly, it's a combination of things. It's number one, you guys already have a good idea of why I wouldn't want to play, but also, I mean, I got so many people telling me, dude, you gotta take a week off, you gotta do this, you gotta do... Listen, that night, when I uploaded that video on Friday or whatever, I had a lot of people send me messages and stuff like, bro, I'm worried about your mental health and all this other stuff. I'm good. That I gotta figure it out myself. It's something I gotta figure out within me, the thing that drives me to continue improving and or even playing in a confident manner. It's very important for me. If I don't have confidence, I'm not even a player. Again, I mean, I appreciate all the, you know, messages and nice stuff that people were saying to me and all that stuff, but I'm good. And I mean, just from the intro, you guys probably saw it there, I ended up getting a W literally a couple hours after I uploaded that video. So yeah, that was weird. I don't know what happened in that game, but I actually had some confidence. I know that I ended up missing out like literally like 7 or 8 kills in that entire thing because I was only like literally recording in like 3-minute increments, and I honestly didn't think I was gonna win the game. I'm not entirely sure exactly how I should do the whole clipping deal? Should I clip it like 20 minutes at a time and just have a shit ton of large files with a singular clip in it? Or do I clip it in 3-minute increments and just not have full gameplays? You know what I mean? I don't know. I never do my whole content on just full gameplays as far as like, oh, if I won a game, I have the whole thing recorded and I can just chop it up. Usually it's just in little increments if I feel like something's happening. Also, during this whole plane sequence, I always get encoding overloaded over here, which makes no sense on a 16-core processor, and I have this quality turned down a good amount, so I have no idea. They're not set very high. This one room in the stadium that has a whole bunch of stuff. Like a room with like 3 golden chests in there. Players land there every single time now, I notice. So there's always a good group of people. If you're not the first one in there, you should probably dip.
All right, lads, let's get it done.
Sometimes you get a good amount of money in there, and if not, you could just run around down here until you find enough. Oh, I was watching the UFC last night. I would have obviously put my predictions out there if I was, you know, gonna upload a video or whatever, but I felt pressured, so I didn't. I don't know if there's somebody else still in the stadium with me. There might be one guy creeping around, and the thing is, he's probably gonna see me if I go and buy over there, so I'm gonna try over here. Somebody has already bought over here, though, so... necessarily enough the most ideal thing. 14,000 is usually what you aim for, I guess, so you could get the UAV and all that too, but I wasn't about to just sit there and run around. There's already 60 people are already dead, so I usually don't like driving too close to the buildings, but sometimes it just baits random players out, so I don't know. I don't remember what the flight path was, so I'm not sure where anybody is. You can kind of get a good hunch of where people are going to land just based off of that, but hey, somebody called the UAV. They might have grabbed it over there. Somebody killed him. Alright, so I know that guy's in the tower. I'm gonna drive past him, go and try to clean up this guy over here. Hopefully I'm not biting off more than I can chew. Stun grenade helped a lot. Hit him. So I got no plates. This is rough. I'm gonna have to pick up plates over here real quick and hope that I'll be fine doing it. Might have to revisit that tower. I don't know.
Be advised, UAV is bingo fuel. RTB for resupply.
I didn't think that that would kill me. Was that not a full HP Bertha? I guess I should have jumped out sooner, but whatever. I know where he landed, so there's no way I'm gonna let him get away with that. I can land back down on the loadout. Oh, I also changed my my FOV from 103 to 120 now, so I got the maximum FOV here, and it seems like it helps a lot. I've been playing unaffected for the past few months at least. Multiple months, I guess. Switching up to 120, I don't know if that's what's really changed anything for me or what, but... man, this doesn't have any HP. Hopefully I can get over to this truck, hop out, and swap out at least so I can get to a spot where I have an idea of what's going on. I'm the switch. Yeah, that AUG is busted. I would have given my, you know, predictions and stuff for UFC, what was it, 260 something.
Fought hard out there. Return to base for debrief.
That was my fault. I didn't expect a variable zoom god to be up there, man. I took a shot at him and he got his revenge on me. Good shot, I guess, man. Fuck, man. We should do another phase 5 for these players. High level shit, honestly. My predictions for the UFC that ended up happening yesterday. There were 3 title fights in there. Jan Blachowicz versus Israel Adesanya. Peter Yan versus Aljamain Sterling. And then Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson. Megan Anderson at one point was like plus 900 or something like that. I mean, the closer it got to the fight, it was like, she was like plus 600, plus 550, something like that. But Amanda Nunes was like minus 1250 or some shit like that. I said myself for still aiming at that guy running around in the cart with that AUG like that. I should have taken the one shot that I hit him on there and then just immediately swapped to a sniper and shit on this guy. Good enough to kill a player that's standing still, so that's better than most people. Well, there you go. That's how you do it. Yeah, man, take that UAV. You're on a fucking heater right now. The night was actually kind of weird. The whole card was actually really good. Had a lot of finishes, good fights on there, submissions, TKOs, knockouts, you name it. The card had everything. And the fact that the card even stayed together to even actually come to fruition is honestly a blessing in itself. So Megan Anderson versus Amanda Nunes, the reason that, you know, the betting line was like that is because Amanda Nunes is the greatest of all time. She just is. She's so dominant. So a lot of people talk about Khabib and stuff like that, but no offense, has only 3 defenses. He doesn't have like this huge laundry list of people, you know, on like some title reign terror thing. So undefeated, that's still great in itself and all that shit, but still, had her losses. You watched her grow. You've watched her take challenges by moving up in weight and stuff like that. Khabib, I don't think he's ever moved up. So the betting line was like that. A lot of people didn't think Megan would win and all that stuff just because, you know, a lot of people, number one, they don't really know about her, and number two, they never really had any reason to doubt Amanda. Nothing really different happened for her other than the fact that she had a child now, so she's just like, some people were thinking that would make her somehow worse in the long run. Dude, like, now you're giving her something to truly fight for. It's dangerous. Like, she could be even more dangerous. I'm pretty sure she said something like that right after the fight as well. She's like, listen, there's nothing more dangerous than a lioness protecting her cubs now. I didn't even have cubs before, now I do. I mean, respect to her, she ended up hurting Megan in the stand-up, ended up finishing her in the first round. She hurt her in the stand-up. Megan kind of had like the stiff legs and stuff like that. She's a very tall, large woman, so when you see her get rocked in any way, you can kind of like visibly see it. Even though Amanda didn't, you know, knock her out cold and stuff like that, Megan tried. She, you know, stood in there with her, but after she ended up getting rocked, she ended up getting taken down. And Amanda, with her superior, you know, at least assumed superior, nice shot, grappling and stuff like that, you know, she would just get the job done, and she did, so. And there he goes, he's dead. Yeah, she hurt her and then just ended up getting on the ground with her and just submitting her. Basically had her in very, very bad position with her, basically stuck in like a triangle armbar kind of deal of, you know, she can just pick and choose whichever way she really wanted to do it to her. If she wanted to stay on her back, she would just get armbarred. If she turned to her side, she would get armbarred. If she turned to her stomach, she would get triangle. She didn't really have, you know, much of a choice there. Especially being injured and stuff, you're kind of just like going through the motions and just hoping that you get out, you know? So, I mean, good try to Megan and everything. Tried, so I respect to her. Megan has always been cool to me. She, like, you know, supports and likes my tweets and all sorts of shit like that. So, you know, that shit sucked to watch her lose and everything, but there's not a lot of shame in it. So, then we had Aljamain Sterling and Peter Yan, and, yeah, that was a good fight. It was really good. Aljamain pressed like a crazy hard pace, super, super fast, trying to obviously wrestle a whole bunch. Peter had a lot more, versatility to him than I had originally thought. I thought that he didn't really have much grappling to be able to deal with it. Obviously, I knew that he would have some physicality and he would be fast and hard to take down to begin with, but I didn't think that he would, you know, in a way know how to get up or, you know, break out of things or be as good as he was in the clinch against Aljamain. And it could also be just kind of compacted with the fact that, you know, Aljamain was exhausted pressing the pace that he was trying to set on him, and Peter wasn't really, you know, wilting. So, but basically, it was a pretty close fight. I would say that Peter Yan was winning. Then I think in the 3rd or the 4th round, Aljamain was down maybe a round or so, falling behind a little bit. The desk was talking about him, you know, wilting and stuff like that, but, you know, you never really know what could have been happening in the next round. At one point, Aljamain, being exhausted, ends up, like, being down on the ground, almost on his hands and knees, and he's down on one knee. Peter's standing over top of him, kind of hold him in, like, this bulldog position. And Peter Yan, I think he's like, Russian, so there's, like, a language barrier, and somebody from his corner, or the ref, or somebody told him that he could actually kick him. And I fucked. And when he was sitting there in that bulldog choke type position, Peter ended up throwing a knee or like a kick to Aljamain's head, which is very illegal, super intentional. Now, obviously, he still could have misunderstood, but he intended to throw that knee at his head, you know what I mean? So, he threw that shit, it hit Aljamain, hurt him really bad. He was also exhausted, so, you know, getting hit with an illegal shot while being that exhausted, I mean, he's not going to be able to continue. So you either deduct a point or maybe even 2 points from Peter, which would then put Aljamain in the lead, going into the 4th or 5th round, which is a huge deal. To go over here and get this SUV and dip. Wait, did nobody get this room? Nobody got this room. Still no plate. That's painful. So, this is, I think, the first time it's ever happened in UFC history, but Peter Yan ended up getting disqualified in the middle of a title fight, and he lost his title via DQ. So Aljamain became champ through getting, you know, kneed in the face. I mean, he tried really hard, but man, what a mix of emotions for that guy. I felt like shit watching that. He's obviously injured, concussed, and everything, and they're having people, you know, interview him and shit because he's a new crown champion and everything, but there's also the whole rule of not wanting to interview fighters after they've been concussed. Because sometimes, you know, they're not thinking straight. They don't really know what's happened. So they can do and say things or make decisions, and people can pressure them to, you know, do things they wouldn't normally do or agree to or think about or whatever. Basically, Aljamain was like, oh, I'm so heartbroken, and this is not the way that I envisioned it, and we're gonna have to run it back, and all this other shit. And like, yeah, obviously they're gonna have to run it back because of, you know, that shit or whatever, but man, I don't know. When you have a vision for something for such a long time, and it happens, but it happens in a way that completely saps all of the fun and enjoyment out of the fantasy of it all. So that whole thing is just all messed up with Peter Yan and Aljamain. And then we got the main event, Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz. This is Adesanya moving up. He actually fought instead of at 205, which is the weight limit for light heavyweight. Adesanya came in 5 pounds light at 201.5 pounds. A lot of people talking about the size of Jan and all that other stuff. So there's a lot of talk about this, you know, leading up to it and everything. Adesanya became a two-weight world champion. He's talking about defending them both and stuff like that, even potentially trying to go up to heavyweight and all that stuff. It was a good fight back and forth, looking at all the rounds, but I believe that Jan ended up winning 3 rounds to 2, I would say, if I was being pretty fair. I don't think Adesanya really won that fight. It's determining whether or not Jan won 3 or even 4 rounds, but I gave him 3 rounds for sure. Maybe I could watch the fight back and get like a different opinion on it or whatever it may be, but I thought Adesanya was gonna win that. Blachowicz would be kind of like careless, you know what I mean? I thought he would have a lot more holes and stuff. He did bite on like every single feint that Adesanya put out there in front of him, but was very defensively tight every time he was like, you know, flinching and shit. Every single time he was just, you know, biting on every single one of the feints. You would just assume every time someone's biting on a feint, Adesanya is setting something up to give an opening, but he didn't really leave a lot of openings even though he was biting a lot. So, I mean, that's just an improvement in his game. And he basically beat Izzy in the stand-up, I would say. He was outstriking him in the stand-up. Not by like huge margins or anything, it's literally just a few punches, but he was winning in total strikes and significant strikes before he started mixing in the grappling and takedowns and stuff. Once Jan started, you know, mixing in the takedowns and stuff and was able to get like a nice takedown on Izzy was doing this funny ass drunken fist interpretation kind of thing, because he was starting to heat up in the 4th and 5th round. Jan was starting to slow down a little bit. You could hear him huffing and puffing like crazy. I mean, he was still there. All respect to Jan and stuff, but if for whatever reason there was a 6th, 7th, 8th round, or if they had the fight until someone got finished, it would have been really, really interesting to see it go past, you know, 5 rounds. So Adesanya basically, you know, failing to go and capture the 2nd belt. This is going to go back down to 185, defend that. Jan is going to keep defending his 205 belt. The whole Aljamain thing is heartbreaking. They're obviously going to do the rematch. However that's going to go, I don't even know. It was pretty close. I would say that Peter was winning that fight, but now that both of them know exactly how that fight, you know, was going at that point, we'll see how it is the 2nd time around. And as far as Amanda Nunes goes, she can do whatever she wants, I guess.